TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom and good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, CIA Director William Burns departs Qatar after efforts to reach a hostage release deal reach an impasse. The Palestinian Authority launches a campaign to confront the Islamist Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad in the North Samaria region. Hayat Tahrir al-Sham leader Al-Joulani stresses that he is utilizing the United Nations to oust Israel from Syrian soil. CIA Director William Burns departed Qatar after efforts reportedly reached an impasse. According to informed sources, the Islamist Hamas refuses to compromise on two main issues, to include the release of arch-terrorist Marwan Barghouti, who has been incarcerated in an Israeli prison since 2002 after a court sentenced him to 5 life sentences over multiple accounts of murder. Meanwhile, amid evident challenges to reach a breakthrough in negotiations, the Prime Minister's office updated the families of the 100 hostages who remain in Hamas captivity for the past 441 days, informing them that while substantial progress has been achieved, challenges in reaching the desired outcome remain. It is worth highlighting that while Hamas remains defiant, the IDF is preparing to up the pressure on the Islamist Palestinian terror group throughout the Gaza Strip.
We are destroying Hamas, harming its infrastructure and operatives to ensure that October 7th will never happen again. We are pressuring Hamas and forcing it into an even deeper state of distress to enable us to return 100 hostages. I hope that as many as possible will be among the living, and those who aren't will be buried in Israel. The third point is returning the residents of the Gaza periphery. I tell you that the periphery will regain a color of life. And from the moment that residents are returning, our responsibility grows. It doesn't diminish, because we are committed to provide for a much stronger security arrangement so that they will feel better and safer. Therefore, you serve to target Hamas, returning the hostages, and returning the hostage. This gives me unending energy to actively persist, which is a common denominator for every soldier, both conscripts and reserves. Keep doing an excellent job.
Turning to the northern Samaria region of the so-called West Bank, where the Palestinian Authority's security forces are stepping up operational activity against the Islamist Hamas and the Iranian proxy Palestinian Islamic Jihad in the lawless northern Samaria district, after repeatedly claiming it has the competence to reinvigorate security in the Gaza Strip, the Palestinian Authority began confronting Iran-backed terror groups in the city of Jenin, with local operatives pledging to fight the Western-funded Palestinian security forces with all tools at their disposal.
Honestly, the resistance in the camp will never end, even if this generation perished. The coming generation would be more vicious. In 2002, Israel announced that it ended the resistance in Jenin. A while later, the resistance increased and became more vicious.
It is interesting to know that justification for the Palestinian Authority's operational intervention within the Palestinian street relates to the concrete allegations that Iran and other regional actors were funding Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad in the northern Samaria district. And while local terrorist operatives did not reject the fact that Iran as well as the Islamic State were funding their terror groups, they pushed back at the Palestinian Authority, which is essentially funded by the West.
If we are, as they say, ISIS and funded by Iran, then where are your funds from? It's American, and they take orders from above, from Israel, from Netanyahu and Smotrich and others.
While the Palestinian Authority is seemingly making an effort to restore their control over the northern Samaria district, the IDF, in close cooperation with the ISA or Shin Bet, as well as the Border Police Special Operations Units, continue to conduct daily counter-terror operations throughout Judea, Samaria, and the Jordan Valley. According to the IDF spokesperson's unit, over 6,000 wanted suspected terror operatives were apprehended throughout Judea and Samaria since October 7th of last year, to include more than 2,350 operatives who are affiliated to the Islamist Hamas. Turning to the Turkish capital of Ankara, where President Recep Tayyip Erdogan hosted Lebanon's caretaker Prime Minister Najim Mikati, during the course of which the former accused Israel of harassing Lebanon, while further claiming that the region would not experience calm unless the Hamas-instigated war in Gaza draws to a close.
Üstelik bu İsrail'in Lübnan'a ilk saldırısı.
Furthermore, this is not the first attack by Israel on Lebanon. In the past, Lebanon has been subject to such harassment. At the point we have come to, everyone should see this: Lebanon's security cannot be evaluated separately from the region's stability. Without ensuring a ceasefire and a lasting peace in Gaza, our region cannot know calm.
Bölgemiz huzura kavuşamaz.
Despite the fact that Hezbollah had launched its unprovoked war against Israel on October 8th of last year, in addition to the fact that since the ceasefire took effect, the Iranian proxy forced the IDF to act on numerous occasions against the terror group's repeated violations of the cessation of hostilities, the Lebanese caretaker prime minister blamed Israel for essentially defending itself and proactively preserving its national security interests.
My brother Recep Tayyip Erdogan, our country has suffered and is still suffering greatly as a result of the Israeli aggression against it, which has left for months human, economic, financial, social, and environmental repercussions that are no longer hidden from anyone. This aggression is continuing. It is continuing, unfortunately, directly militarily through the daily violations carried out by the Israeli enemy, and this is in violation of the commitment paper for the ceasefire.
President Erdogan and Prime Minister Mikati also addressed the situation in neighboring Syria.
Suriye'de artık yeni bir dönem başlamıştır.
A new era has started in Syria. As Syria's two important neighbors, we agree on the point that we need to act together. Syria's stability means the region's stability.
Bölgenin istikrarı demektir.
We also count on the role you enjoy and the active presence of Turkey in the region and the world, especially in light of the radical political changes taking place in our geographical surroundings, especially in Syria, which is witnessing an Israeli occupation of part of its land, and we must exert strong pressure to end it immediately. We also wish the brotherly Syrian people freedom and stability, and we emphasize the unity of Syria and its people and its complete sovereignty over its land.
It is worth highlighting that while regional and international actors are calling on Israel to withdraw from the demilitarized zone along the 1974 armistice line, the territory which Israel captured is hundreds, if not thousands, of square kilometers smaller than the landmass which Turkey had seized to establish a buffer zone to contend with its own national security concerns, particularly vis-à-vis the Kurdish YPG militia, which it views as an extension of the PKK and which has been defending against numerous Turkish-backed incursions into northeastern Syria. It is important to know that the Kurdish YPG militia, which is the largest and most potent force within the US-backed SDF militias combating the Islamic State, controls the largest territory throughout much of central and eastern Syria. Therefore, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham leader Abu Muhammad al-Joulani, in an interview to the BBC, stressed the importance for his group to reach an arrangement with the US-backed SDF aimed at consolidating his rule.
As you know, Bashar al-Assad fled Syria, and he will be chased through legal means. As you know, he also took large amounts of money from this country and escaped with it abroad. We will request his return from the parties that protect him now through legal channels so he can be held on trial through the Syrian judiciary.
Al-Joulani further addressed Israel, stressing that he is utilizing the United Nations to force Israel out of Syria.
As for the Israelis, I believe they had excuses to interfere through the presence of Iranian militias and Hezbollah. I think these excuses are now a thing of the past, as we have managed to force Hezbollah and the Iranian militias from Syria, and there is no justification for Israeli forces to move into Syrian land. How will we react? With international pressure. We are in touch with all countries through the United Nations.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. Just to update you, in light of TV7's Christmas season broadcast schedule, TV7 Israel News will take a brief holiday break until January 7th. With that being said, we aim to air a couple of war updates a week. You can update yourself with our broadcast schedule via our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. So from the TV7 Israel team, my family and I wish you all a Merry Christmas, a Chag Chanukah Sameach, and a blessed New Year ahead of time. Keep praying for the peace of Jerusalem and the salvation of Israel. And God willing, we will see you during our next updates. Until then, Shabbat Shalom from Jerusalem.